development of humanity in the southern cradle and the development of humanity in the northern cradle. In the southern cradle, you had people rich, land rich, and resource rich. When you have land rich, people rich, and resource rich, you don't have to fight your brother for breakfast. You don't have to think about stealing somebody's clothes because you have food. In fact, if you look at African society, they are built on welcoming strangers. In your own home right now, you have a bed for a stranger that hasn't made an invitation. You have bed sheets that are set aside for this guest who hasn't announced they are coming. You have plates. I remember my father, we used to have plates. You couldn't eat from them until a guest comes. You know, that's what they get out because they're expecting visitors. We welcome visitors. In the northern cradle, because of resource poverty, they hate strangers. In Britain now, they have what they call border police. Border police moves from house to house, checking the papers. And when they get you, they deport you. But they first put you in a concentration camp. But when it is our airport, we are laughing. If you fly to England now, if you are not white, if you are from China, you are from India, you are from Pakistan, you are from Africa, they don't even allow you to leave the plane. Immigration comes into the plane to check why you have come. Because that is the psychology, the philosophy of the northern cradle, based on resource poverty. Even in religion, if you imagine, for example, take the story of Buganda Chintu, who is the first, Buganda considered the first person, goes to visit God, Guru. When he gets to Guru to look for his cow, Guru insists Chintu must eat sufficient food before anything is done to him. So Chintu has fene, Chintu has memvu, Chintu has bananas, Chintu has every food piled up. And he's in a dilemma. His dilemma is his host has given him too much food. So what is he going to do? He is going to get a rat and persuade the rat to chip on off and eat some of the food. But compare that story with the story of Adam and Eve. They only eat a fruit, one fruit. Huh? And God gets angry. He curses them. You ate my fruit. You are going to die. You are a curse upon you. And even your children. And even this. And when he was leaving, he even saw a snake. He said, even you snake, they will stamp upon you every day they see you. Really? God? And he's supposed to be all merciful, you know, all kind, all forgiving. You can't forgive a person for eating the fruit. If you take the story literally, you can't make any sense even to the food. If you take it literally. But that is a philosophical story that tells you about resources. They had no resources. They couldn't have communal living because they had no resources, and therefore God has protected even the fruit. It is the same as the religion of Islam in the desert. When you are in the desert, you have no water. So water becomes a wonderful thing. So in that case, what will heaven look like? The Muslim Jannah is what? Is where I have a garden that has a lot of water. But if you take now a man from Sese Island and you say I'm going to heaven to have and there will be water, someone will look at you and say, now what are you saying? I am suffering with this water, it's too much. Every time I want to cross, I have to get in a boat and get a life jacket. Now you are telling me I'm going to get to heaven to find the same? So that's a philosophical concept. So you need to understand that the European emerges from a society that is people poor, resource poor, and land poor. Their so-called revolution was opened up for everyone. But in this time, education was limited to few people. So when Christopher Columbus gets lost, 1492, whose real name was not Christopher Columbus, it was Christopher Colomb. You know, but he was not Italian, he was from Spain. Was not his real name. He was a Catalan nationalist who had fought Isabel of Castile and Ferdinand of Aragon, so he lost his real name in order to get support from Spain. Now, when he gets lost, by the way, he travels with two Africans, because Africa was trading with South America. You know, there were African people in South America long before Columbus. You know, When he gets lost looking for India, he arrives in America. He's found lost at the island of Wahene by Rocario Indians. And then, because white people lie, they couldn't say he got lost. They said he discovered India. And he told the people he found West Indies. West of white India. The man was lost. India was this side. He went this side. Now, how is that supposed to be? Can't you see? He got West Indians. He was almost thousands and thousands of miles away from India. He called the people, West Indians, cannibals. Carib, Spanish word, meaning cannibals. Now we know, of course, the Native Americans were not cannibals. If they were cannibals, they would have eaten Christopher Columbus and there'd be no problem. The fact that Christopher Columbus was not eaten proves that the Native Americans were not cannibals. But what does he say? As soon as he kneels down, thanks God, he inquired hastily for gold. He sets in place a system called a comedian system, asking every person to bring a horn full of gold. And those who couldn't do it, what did he do? He would hack them to death. He would put them in spits. He would raise their villages. And Europeans always traveled with a wonderful companion called disease. He went into the Americas with a diseased body and a diseased mind. Devastated the Americas. Killed off all civilizations. Some of the most magnificent of civilizations that he found in America. Destroyed all of them. In European propaganda, white people depict themselves as bringers of civilization and bringers of democracy. Understand, nations don't invade each other to bring civilization. Nations don't invade each other to bring democracy. They invade for resources, to take the resources of what you consider your enemy and make them your own. Britain ruled Uganda, ruled India. Did they organize any election? No. Only when they were evil. They have what they call diplomacy by deception. When they killed the Native Americans, then one Catholic priest called Bartholomew de las Casas, by the way, before they went, they asked the Isabel of Castile and Ferdinand of Aragon, they asked the Pope called Pope Nicholas the Sixth, also known as Borgia, who had 27 concubines, 2 sons, including Chesley, who also rose to become a canon, his daughter, Lucretia, who was a thief, a murderer, and a pillager. He decreed, he has authorized Spain and Portugal to reduce to servitude all infidel people and said African people had no souls to save. So, Bartholomew de las Casas, in order to save the souls of Native Americans, he came and took Africans to the Caribbean. And that started the so-called African Holocaust, or the so-called slave trade. But it was a trade in 4 major products. Don't forget these products. It was a trade in sugar, it was a trade in tobacco, it was a trade in alcohol, sugar, alcohol, tobacco, and there was a 4th one that are just drugs. Drugs. When you hear drugs, that the drug war, cocaine, whatever, who is the biggest exporter of drugs, the biggest seller of drugs? The United States government. Don't take my word for it. They fought a war with China called the Opium War. Do you study the Opium War? Forcing China to buy opium. Britain fought the war with China. Forced China to buy opium. And then took over Hong Kong and developed Hong Kong as the trading capital of what product? Of opium. In Europe, opium was sold. You would travel with your syringe to the theater. You would have to drink it as a tea. All the things they are telling you is just deception. America, when they were in Vietnam, America had set up an airline called American Airlines just to transport drugs. They gave it to soldiers because the soldiers didn't want to die. They refused to fight, so they gave them drugs. During the 60s, in the civil rights movement, when black people started standing up, they did a deal with the mafia to introduce drugs in the black community. So they will do a deal to introduce the drugs in Uganda. They will do a deal to introduce the drugs in Kenya. It is them that sell drugs. Don't be deceived. You don't have to say that in public. When they ask you, what do you think of what Kimaka said, that the American government says, you say, no. Such a wonderful democratic government that has repeatedly competitive, government. The Congress is not allowed. And what you hear of Congress, these are just sharks that are bought for whatever amount of money. Today they vote this past this side. Most of them have a price tag on their head, and they have lobbyists. There are more lobbyists in the American Congress than their congressmen or their senators. So don't be deceived by all these things. But to stick to the story, when they started producing sugar, when they started producing cotton, when they started producing tobacco and alcohol, that is when Europe starts rising up. Before African people, if you give somebody free labor, if 50 of you come to work for me for free for 100 years, how rich do you think I will be? Just think of that. So everywhere they went, they destroyed and enslaved those civilizations. It is only when those civilizations started rising up that they thought of another alternative, mental slavery. Let us colonize them. Instead of colonizing them abroad, because they are burning this plantation, they are burning this sugarcane plantation, they are refusing to work, they have gone and set up their colonies like Bahia and Paranalis that produced Zumbi and Ganga Zumba that defeated the Portuguese for 100 years in Brazil. Colonies like the Baroons, people like Toussaint Louverture in Haiti, 1781, at the ceremony of Basque-Romain, when they said liberty or death. And the slaves rose up against their masters and defeated the French white man. The French army was commanded by Napoleon's brother Lalique. The English white man and the Spanish white man, and changed the name of Saint-Domingue to Haiti. That is why America has invaded Haiti more than 13 times. That is why they had this earthquake. I am sure you know about HARP. You know about HARP? Anybody knows about HARP? Put up your hand if you know HARP. HARP. America makes earthquakes. They make tornadoes. The program is called HARP. H-A-A-R-P. They make it in a place in Alaska. Alaska. If you pursue me, I'll show you a documentary. People who work there. I hope you know that America has factories that make diseases. Biosafety laboratories. They make Ebola, they make cholera, they make anthrax. They make it in huge quantities. They weaponize it. So they make tornadoes. They can move a cloud from Uganda and put it in another country, and then they can let drought and people run away. And then when they have bought the land or people have run away, they can bring that cloud back. Serious. When you had New Orleans was a black town. African people, musicians, whatever thought they can make up for black culture. And then all of a sudden they fly. And you saw how they treated their people in New Orleans. Nothing. People are on the rooftop. They are supposed to have helicopters and all these things. Propaganda. You know, one time I met a major at the airport in Tebe. And then I saw a lot of Americans flying to and I'm thinking, why? They're flying without passports, they are taking guns in the plane. And I said, why are you doing this? He says, what can we do? Because they can even see under your bed. And I said, really? So a few days ago, I thought of calling him up. They have missed a plane. A big plane carrying 200, is it 200? Now, they are telling you that they can even read a newspaper, huh? That they have satellite that can even read a newspaper when you are seated on earth, what you are reading. And I had one Israeli saying, we can even see tire marks to tell what type of car. Now, how are you going to miss a plane? Huh? You can see all these things, but you miss a boy? Huh? With several passengers, all these phones and notepads and everything. All these countries looking for one plane. That is propaganda. You know, war, most of the warfare today is psychological warfare. Psychological warfare. When they say, we have found Saddam Hussein in a hole, and then they show a photograph and you see dates in the background, and it is the wrong month for dates in Iraq. You know, so how are you going to get Saddam Hussein in a hole? Saddam Hussein is a tall man. with a broken stomach, and he squeezes in a small hole, and that's why you have found him. So propaganda. When they say, we caught Osama bin Laden, we killed him last night, but we have buried him in the ocean in accordance with Muslim customs because we didn't want to keep him for a long time. Hey, really? Why have we buried him? Even us, we don't know. Is that really a true story? When you killed Gaddafi, you left him there. Wasn't he a Muslim? Why didn't he bury him quickly in accordance with Muslim customs? You let people stroll past him, take photographs, his body was smelling. Now what did you do? You have been hunting for Osama bin Laden for 10 years, you have captured him and nothing has happened? That is psychological warfare. It is just propaganda. They created Osama bin Laden, they funded him. You know, at the time when the World Trade Center was knocked down and the planes couldn't fly, the only plane around New York was what? Was that of Osama bin Laden and his family, of bin Laden's family, who are holding a meeting at the Carlyle Group. When bin Laden blew up the American military in Saudi Arabia, what company got a contract to rebuild the base? Bin Laden Group. And at the time, he was also treated in a military hospital in Saudi Arabia. This is just all diplomacy by deception. It is psychological warfare. Because if you were strong, you know when they invaded Afghanistan, they spent 1 month dropping bombs. Then they drop bombs, then they say, we want to see satellite images whether the people have died. If you are strong, come and fight me. You know, you want to fight, come and fight. It's the same thing when you are children, you want to fight somebody. You say, I am really going to beat you. And then you start, putting your shirt like this, yeah? And then you remove your watch, you put it on the side. Really, you want to fight. Yeah? It is, if you want to fight, fight. But don't start removing your shirt, then removing your watch. Then say, we want to see satellite imagery. Because they are afraid. That is why they develop missiles to fire from far. They don't want to face you eye to eye, man to man. Because they know if you face each other, they say, okay, now the guns, your long range guns, and Harrier jump jets, and whatever. So they create all these names, Navy SEAL, SWAT teams, and they say now SWAT has come. Oh, now the Navy SEALs, the American Marines, and they get all these young people, poor people who can't go to school. They can't afford school, so they send them to die, for oil, for these corporations. Because America is owned by corporations. America is not owned by their citizens. No, they psych them up. They can't believe in real because they're playing video games. They can't believe in that they can beat everybody. So they go to Somalia. They use a general called Muhammad Farah and did it. And he beats them down, completely. And they say, but we have SWAT teams, but we have Navy SEAL, but we have American Marines. Where were the Marines in Somalia? They have been looking, they can see, they can read a print. They have been looking for coin. The first special forces that came to Uganda, if you don't know this, let me tell you, 100 of them. 60 of them didn't really make it to Central Africa because they got sick. They did most of the fighting looking for corn in Sheraton Hotel. And those who have got into the Central African Republic, where they saw all these creeping crawlies and spiders and whatever, they just hold up in one area and let Uganda do the fighting. It's just a name. Illusions of grandeur. And this illusion, when you repeat a lie so big, that's what Hitler used to say, that a lie repeated over and over, people begin to believe that lie. They internalize the lie. Now let me tell you this. They are interested in one world order. This one world order will be governed from America. America will control the military. London will control the finance. And Rome will control the spiritual center. It is always an amazing question to say, Jesus never saw Europe. Yet the people who control the religion of Jesus are based in Europe and England. The Romans killed Jesus. So you would imagine that the religion that follows Jesus would run away from them. But they are the people in control. And they don't believe in God. They worship a God called Baphomet. Baphomet. B-A-P, I think, H-O-M-E-T. Baphomet. So they are interested. They have something else, something you should go and look out for. Bohemian growth. Bohemian, B-O-H-E-M-I-A-N, Bohemian growth. That is why all the leaders that they are grooming for one new world order, from all these secret societies, like the Skull and Bones, like the Committee of 300, they groom them so that they come and take over the world. They want one ID, one identity card. They want, one ID, they want one God, they want one religion, they want all of us to be slaves performing for this empire. The same thing that Rome did or tried to do and failed is what America is attempting to do. They are modeling themselves after ancient Egypt because ancient Egypt was a spiritual center of the world and built most of the enduring civilization that lasts up today. So when you see the $1 bill, you will see their plan, what they have been planning, because they are all Freemasons. You need to read about Freemasonry. Most of these people are sick people. They are not. You think about them and you think that they have a conscience. No. If you are fighting in Kenya, they have a conscience. The Kenyan will look at you and say, let me let you go. For them, they don't. Look at the songs that the American Marines sing. You go, the songs go like this. You go into a village and you find men and children drawing water. What do? Kill. What do you do again? Kill. You go in a mosque and you find people going for prayers and they are all dressed in good clothes. What do? Kill. What do you do again? Kill. They cite them to kill, to murder. What you have seen them doing in Fallujah, what you have seen them doing in Afghanistan, they don't care. They are not thinking about this. Look at this. This is the signage on the dollar bill. You can see the pyramid. The pyramid is from Egypt. You can see the number, the eye. They call that the all-thing eye of God. But in their concept, they call it the eye of Baphomet. Then nous avons sacrum, new order of all ages. New order, a new Coptas or our enterprise is successful. Then when you look at the seal, can you show me the seal? When you look at the seal of the United States, look, they have an eagle. It is holding arrows. It is holding olives and arrows. The olives has 13. It has 13 olives. The arrow is 13. It's holding 13 arrows. It is looking toward the olives, saying we are looking for peace, but we are also prepared for war. The eagle has a tail with 13 feathers. It has a chest with 13 stripes. The eagle has a star, has a crown of 13 stars. And 13, you are told, is what? An unlucky number. But in Freemasonry, 13 is a number for spiritual transformation. When you look at Jesus had 12 apostles, from himself 13. Mesu had 12 disciples, from himself 13. So these 13, these are codes. They are mimicking the spiritual systems or the secret societies of ancient Egypt. Their secret society is reduce the population. They want to reduce the population of the world to 800 million. 800. They want a small elite, 1%, to control all the resources of the world. So we are all in this together. And you are all our last man standing. That is why we big you up. Not because you have not done what I say you have done, but we live in difficult times. Number one, you need to educate yourself. You need to follow the money. You need to understand how these economies collapse. Like you have what they call subprime mortgages. You're in the military. The military in every economy must be the most wise. You have to understand banking. Don't say that banking is banking because the bank puts interest rates and because they charge you for fees. That's not banking. To give it AAA rating, which is the same as a government bond, and then sell it to investors abroad. And then start speculating on each other and saying this is going to collapse. They are all banks. Don't trust the banks. Don't trust the insurance companies. Don't trust them because they are all in it together. You need to understand these wars are not waged by the American people. They are not waged by the British people. Most of them are protesting. Didn't you see Occupy Wall Street, Occupy Cleveland, Occupy this? Why? It is 1% corporations. The Coca-Cola, the Horizon Bison, the Monsanto, which is an evil company. Monsanto, that makes GMO total evil. What kind of person wakes up anyway to get a seed, invade its cell barrier with bacteria and virus, put a promoter gene that is an E. coli, and then give it to people to eat? What kind of person does that? For profit. Their goal is Satan. Their role is profit. And they don't care whether you live or die. However, because of deception, they want us to fight each other. They want us to fight each other using democracy. Democracy is what? It's based on what? Permanent opposition. You have an opposition leader, even before he knows what to oppose. He's been elected leader of opposition. He's walking around saying, I'm waiting for them. Whatever they bring, I oppose. Yeah? What are you going to oppose? I don't know yet. You must come somewhere because that is my role. They have introduced a bill to do a railway line. And, the defense is going to do the railway line. Our soldiers will get experience. We have a road that will... No. And then the USID, I'll tell you, don't worry. We will tell you. The railway is a bad investment. First of all, it costs less money. Where will you get a commission? Number two, but don't say that. Number two, you have to buy so much land. You have now to tunnel hills. When we did have slaves, but do you have slaves? Roads. Why? Because when they sign a road contract, it's $1 million per kilometer. A railroad would probably cost 300,000. But what are the companies? The same companies. Starlink. You could have a wonderful company in China or in India or that does it for less. But once you have signed a deal with the World Bank, they dictate. They dictate. Even if you have money now and you want to go and pay off Uganda's debt, and say, I want to do it, so that I am rich, I want to pay off Uganda's debt, they say, no. You can't. You have 40 years. Because that allows them to control the Minister of Finance. You know that Uganda, our president, cannot choose a Minister of Finance. The World Bank has to authorize him. And not only the World Bank, the Inter-American Bank. But that's also euphemism. What is the World Bank? It is an American bank. It is owned 70% by America. Another percent by Britain. By Germany. So how is it the World Bank? We don't have shares in it. American Bank, Inter-American Bank, and the IMF, the same thing. So, you are the people that we are looking for to protect us. You have to engage yourself in seeking wisdom. A soldier must be wise. You must know more than everyone. If you should lose this, just like Hannibal said, it is such a critical struggle because you are both our future and our fate. You are our future because if you should delve into every subject and understand the deception that encompasses all of us, then we have it in our record. I was told some of you are from South Africa. My biggest hero, Chetswayo Kampande Zulu, the major battle of Isandwana, when 20,000 Zulu warriors come and camp in a ravine very close to the camp of British General Chelmsford. Chetswayo sent different columns, decoys. Chetswayo's son is captured by the British, allowed himself to be captured by the British and give them false information, and then escape after doing very good reconnaissance. But he makes them believe that they are going to be attacking from this side, and when Chelmsford separates his force, the Zulus appear out of nowhere. And the Great Battle of Isandlwana in 1896, the entire British colony wiped out 20,000 red coats. And the Zulus even wear their clothes. They even pursued them to get the British flag. When one of the man who was on horse jumps into the water, the Zulu commandos also jump into the water. At the major battle of Isandlwana. If you don't remember the battle of Isandlwana, go to the battle of Adwa, where Menek faces the Italians, against Africans showing their brilliance in battle. The Ethiopians of Thebes, the tallest, the wisest, the most just of all men. Remembering the Abu, the spiritual leader, also in the battlefront, the wife of the emperor. And at the battle of Isandlwana, Italy is totally defeated. They have no shoes, they have no whatever, but tactics, because they had put them in a great, they had prepared themselves psychologically. Recently, the president of Uganda, he mentioned how the presidents, when they were invading Libya, he said 5 or 6 presidents sat in a plane to go to Libya on the mission of the African Union. And NATO said, you can't land in Libya. 5 presidents, Zuma was amongst them. In Africa, from the AU, taking a mission to Libya, and NATO stops them flying. That becomes what? The moment of truth. You know bullfighting? You know bullfighting? In a bull ring, you have a matador who's holding a sword. He has a piece of cloth and he's wearing white. He's fighting a bull, which is what color? Black bull. So when the bull charges, the matador puts the cloth and the bull passes, stabs it in the back. Then the bull turns, looks at the matador. The matador hides the cloth. And the bull does this. I'm coming after you. I am stronger than you. I can see you. I'm coming. It charges. The matador puts the cloth. They say comes a time when the bull begins to see that the cloth is a decoy. He sees the matador. And that is called the moment of truth. But for the bull, it comes too late. Because it has lost so much blood. So when it comes to the bull, and the bull puts this, the sword into its back, the pain lowers it to the ground. The best weapon for ideological warfare is information. Know your enemy. Study Edward Bernays. Look at the books that they read in American war colleges. Look at the deception, that they have. Me, I studied white people. That's what I specialize in. I studied white people. There is nothing a white person can put up in any war, in any area, in any experience that I can. You mention any war white people have been in, I have studied it. Studied it carefully. I am available. Last time I was there, I brought information. I have the library. You can send people to come and look at my library. Look at what we have. We are now putting together something equivalent to the Smithsonian Institute in terms of documentation on video. Because seeing is believing. When you don't see something, you won't believe it. But a lie can spread so elaborate. So elaborate. I'm answering your question on immunization. Yeah? So, a lie can spread so elaborate that people begin to believe, everybody believes this, everybody knows. The biggest lie of all, HIV causes AIDS. Completely no evidence. No evidence whatsoever that a small retrovirus enters your body and breaks down your immune system. None. If you doubt, correct, $5,000, give it to me. You bring somebody who has AIDS, I'll put my arm, you put your blood in my arm, and I'll see if I catch it. I am serious. The test they use in this country was banned in Germany. It's called the rapid test. Banned. Why? Because it is worthless. The inventor of the virus Or the man who says he discovered it like Montagnier, I can show him on video saying, we didn't purify the virus. For a virus to be blamed for causing the disease, it must fulfill certain laws known as Koch postulates. Koch postulates, K-O-C-H. Number one, it must be available in sufficient quantities in a diseased person. HIV has never been isolated from a single AIDS patient. Number two, it must be grown in a laboratory culture and replicate, a system they call reverse transcriptase. No replication, no virus. Number three, it must cause the same disease as another host. And number four, there must be a picture of the virus. Who has ever seen it? A picture of the virus? Nowhere. HIV is supposed to have one protein. Montagnier described how many proteins? He described 9 proteins. He said he saw 9 proteins, but only described one protein called P24, which is available in normal cells. With a consciousness, with knowledge, you have won the battle before it begins. Men of Kimaka, you are our future and our faith. And I hope you take up this challenge because it's a critical struggle. If you lose, we will be lost forever, lost to history, lost to eternity. I thank you.
This morning, we are privileged to receive a lecture on African society in the contemporary world order. The lecture has enhanced our understanding on the topic and brought out significant lessons important to our course curriculum, lives, and the general knowledge on the subject. Dr. Kirankuba has taken us through the general history of Africa, the origin of the African man. He has given us an insight in freeing our mind. I would not be wrong to say that you've made an endeavor to liberate our colonized mind. He has taught us and let us know that we live in a world of global supremacy. But we shall not be part of the bewildered herd. He has also brought out the issue of the white people colonizing the world using information. We must also, and have also learned that we shall also use information as a weapon. You've opened a window on African re-education. By the way, Dr. Kirankuba is the director of the Pan-African Center. He's also the director of TV Africa. So please find him on TV Africa at your own time, and you'll find a great orator. He's an author, he has mentioned it. Read his books on Pan-African philosophy. On behalf of the Commandant, I wish to thank you, Dr. Kirankuba, for having agreed to come and deliver this important lecture and the amount of time you've put into its preparation. The lessons learned shall be beneficial to us while here at the college and in our future assignments. Colonel Shuareza, please lead us in giving a round of applause to Dr. Kirankuba for a lecture well delivered.